All right. Moving on to the most underrated, unheralded, underappreciated position in the game, the good old tackle. And this is a position where you go unnoticed if you play a great game, because the average fan is only aware of a tackle if they surrender multiple sacks in a contest. They get no love. No love. No love from us. Just ridicule. But you will get paid a lot of money if you're a good one. It's interesting because a while ago, tackles were a sure thing in the NFL draft. When you take one in the top 10, you knew that you were getting someone that you could plug in right away and anchor your line for the next decade or so. But it's not like that anymore. Out of the 6 tackles taken in the top 10 over the past 3 drafts, only one has emerged and played really, really well. Now, I'm not saying that the others won't improve and become elite eventually, but like I stated, when you used to draft a tackle high, they contribute immediately. So let's talk about some of these guys. Matt Khalil was picked 4th in 2012. Eric Fisher and Luke Jokel went 1st and 2nd overall in 2013, respectively, before Lane Johnson was taken 4th. And last, Greg Robinson went 2nd and Jake Matthews 6th in last year's draft. Johnson has been the one to emerge, which is funny because he was the one who was supposed to take some time to develop. He was a quarterback in high school, then a tight end, prior to moving to tackle in Oklahoma. When you look at these other guys, Khalil had a strong rookie season, but has struggled mightily the last 2. Fisher and Jokel have underwhelmed so far, and Robinson and Matthews had very, very poor rookie seasons. In this past April's draft, Brandon Scherf went 5th and Eric Flowers 9th, so it'll be interesting to see how they both fare in their rookie campaigns. Then there's also Andrews Pete, but he wasn't a top 10 pick. All right, so what do I look for in a tackle? Well, there's balance, awareness, recovery, and quickness. Balance, being able to slide, shuffle, and mirror a defensive player's movements without falling down or getting overextended. Being able to anchor and hold their ground, keeping the shoulders square and knees bent, adjusting to a moving target in space, and remaining square when trapping and pulling. Awareness, being alert of blitzes, playing instinctive to react to twists and stunts, feeling pressure so you can slip underneath and help out with an inside punch. Recovery. Tackles get beat from time to time. It happens. Some guys get beat a lot. But the elite ones regain their body control, pivot, punch, redirect, and shift their weight to finish off blocks. And finally, quickness. Having soft, quick feet to handle a speed rusher. Having the agility to react to spins and counter moves. All right. Joe Thomas, my top-ranked tackle. And so far in his 8 seasons, he's been named to a first-team All-Pro. He's been named a first-team All-Pro 5 times and to the Pro Bowl every season. At 6'7", 315 pounds, he's the best pass protector in the league. He allowed just 2 sacks last season. Showcases both the balance and power to protect the edge. Run blocking hasn't been a strength of Thomas's, but he made huge strides in this area a year ago and is the reason why he's the top dog among all tackles. He uses his patented power he has in run blocking by pushing the pile off the left side, holding the angle to allow the running back to bounce runs to the outside. Jason Peters, number 2 on my list, is more athletic, but Thomas checks off more boxes across the board. And it's really extraordinary how much athleticism Peters exudes. And hell, he might be the most athletic big man in the game. And the former undrafted free agent uses it to his advantage in pass protection. Moving off his spot to protect the corner, his speed, awareness, and punch has helped him become one of the best at keeping his quarterback from being sacked. As a run blocker, no tackle has Peters' ability on the second level. His agility allows him to pull, kick out, and trap. The Dallas Cowboys' decision to extend Tyron Smith, the 3rd-ranked tackle on my list, for 8 years through 2023 last July is already looking like a brilliant move. At only 24, he's emerged as a building block for the franchise and the captain of the best offensive line in the league. And the scariest part, he's still a bit raw and learning all the nuances of the position. Obviously, we all know the success that the line had in paving the way for DeMarco Murray, and Smith had a huge hand in that. He uses his speed, great power to get on the perimeter, take on the outside linebacker, and get upfield to pounce on the middle linebacker. In pass protection, he uses his power to finish blocks and lock down edge rushers. Surrendered just 2 sacks a year ago. Andrew Whitworth checks in at number 4. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle among, the top tackles in the game because he's in Cincinnati. But Whitworth is coming off an outstanding season where he led the NFL in fewest quarterback hurries, hits, and sacks allowed. Didn't give up a single one all year. Yielded just 8 hurries and 1 quarterback hit. Not the most athletic, can be very, very stiff at times, but once he latches onto a rusher, they rarely break free from him. He has a strong punch, which knocks rushers off balance. As a run blocker, he uses his power to drive defenders backward, and he's a guy that really understands angles and leverage. Joe Staley, number 5 on my list. For the first time in 3 years, Staley wasn't an all-pro tackle last season, but he was still good enough to earn his 4th straight Pro Bowl nod. He did struggle a bit in pass protection last season, but he's also a guy that needs to hold his blocks longer due to the scrambling nature of Colin Kaepernick at quarterback. At 6'5", 315 pounds, Staley is quick for a man his size and uses it to his advantage when the 49ers move the pocket for the mobile Kaepernick. As a run blocker, powerful at the point of attack, he's strong enough to close down and seal the edge. He also uses that quickness in space. San Francisco like to pull and trap him from the tackle spot. Duane Brown is number 6, and he's a guy that's, he's been the top guy on prior lists, but, not this year. He has the best technique of any lineman in the game. The guy never holds, allowed just 2 sacks last season. His length also makes him very, very tough to beat on the edge. Houston likes to run his own scheme in the running game, and Brown is a good fit for it. Very fluid, going to his left or right, understands angles. Sometimes he will miss his man in space, but overall, a very, very solid run blocker. Trent Williams is number 7. He battled through knee, ankle, and shoulder injuries in 2014, but missed just 1 game and was named to his 3rd straight Pro Bowl. He did, however, have a very inconsistent season, but because he's in a contract year, I expect him to bounce back in a big way. At 6'5", 337 pounds, Williams is simply a beast of a man, but also possesses good feet for a man of that girth. Gave up 4 sacks last season. He positions his hands well in pass protection and has a strong punch. You'd think due to his massiveness that he'd excel in the run game, but he doesn't. You'd think that he'd be better as a drive blocker, but he doesn't overpower. He does, however, burst out of his stance quickly to make blocks on the second level. Branden Albert is ranked 8th. He's a guy that's battled injuries, and when healthy, he's one of the top pass blocking tackles in the league. He's very athletic, plays with great balance and patience. He finishes off his blocks with power, has a good punch. He uses his athleticism in the run game, does well on the second level, understands angles, but sometimes he does tend to come in a little bit too high. Sebastian Vollmer, number 9. He's the first right tackle on this list. He's 6'8", 320 pounds, so obviously he has, great length. He's fluid, uses his power well in pass protection, and despite the 6'8" frame, he can get low and anchor against the bull rusher. He's a lot better in pass protection than he is a run blocker. He can get a bit unbalanced at times, but he does use his arm length to drive block, and he's agile enough to get outside the box. The aforementioned Johnson is 10th. After missing the first 4 games due to a PhD suspension, he stepped in, allowed just a single sack in his 12 games at tackle. He did, however, he got a little flag happy, committed 7 penalties in those 12 games, but he's so damn impressive in space. And there's one play in particular I remember. Eagles played the Arizona Cardinals about middle of the season. Jeremy Maclin hauled in a screen pass, went 21 yards for a touchdown. Johnson quickly got off the line and passed the numbers along the right sideline, timing the play perfectly before locking onto the cornerback, allowing Maclin an easy cutback and score. He does need to improve with his leverage as a run blocker, and his power isn't that great as a drive blocker, but his unique athleticism allows him to be a huge force on the second level. Jared Veldheer is 11th, Terron Armstead 12th, Kelvin Beachum 13th, Ricky Wagner 14th, Russell Okung 15th, Donald Penn 16th, Anthony Castonzo 17th, Cordy Glenn 18th, Nate Solder 19th, and Zach Strief rounds out the top 20. Veldheer allowed just 1 sack and 4 quarterback hits in his first season with Arizona. Beachum, Armstead, and Wagner are by far the 3 most underrated tackles on this list. And Beachum made the most strides forward last season of any tackle in my rankings. He allowed 7 sacks a year ago following a disastrous 2013 campaign, but didn't give up a single sack over his final 8 games, playoffs included. At 6'3", 305, he's a bit undersized, but patience and balance are his strengths. Armstead, I kind of got ahead of myself. Armstead, the 12th guy on my list. 2013 third-round pick out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, has a bright future. Very, very athletic, physically gifted, very light on his feet. If there's a guy who I expect to take a huge leap forward this season and crack my top 10 next season, it's Armstead. Wagner, another example of Ozzie Newsome's genius as a talent evaluator. 2013 fifth-rounder, stepped in at right tackle last season and was a huge upgrade over Michael Orr. He's great in pass protection. He has the strength to hold off power rushers and fluidity to slide in either direction to cut off the edge. Okung, he's a guy that's disappointed over the last couple seasons. Also has, been hampered by numerous injuries. No longer in the top 10 of my rankings. But we'll see if he can stay healthy. Maybe he can bounce back this season. Some other under-the-radar names to watch out for: DeMar Dotson at number 28, Mitchell Schwartz at number 29, Marcus Gilbert, LaAdrian Waddle, and Ryan Schrader at number 33, 34, and 35, respectively. All right, so that's it for the tackles. Like I said before, they're very, very unheralded, underappreciated. And it's a lot like an umpire in baseball. You take Jim Joyce, for example, because he's one of the best they come as an umpire. But everybody remembers him for the Armando Galarraga gaffe. And they don't, appreciate how good he is as an umpire. But everyone everyone remembers the mistakes. That's just the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. So, that's it for this video. The guards are next. I hope you guys are enjoying the rankings so far. Debate with me. Comment on, the comment section. Who's your top 10, your top 5? Which guys, do you have a gripe with? Is there someone you think should be higher, should be lower? So all that good stuff. And make sure you follow us on Twitter @TheBitterBirds. I'm out of here. Later.